Hello, and welcome to day 17 of the 30-day Speaking to Camera Challenge. I'm Ryan, and today we were tasked with teaching our audience something. This is something I went back and forth on, being unsure what I had the expertise to teach on, before finally having the suggestion of something the world needs right now is more people who can handle power tools. So I'm going to get into that just in terms of how to drill, what are the benefits of various different types of drills, where you'll use them, and honestly, in modern times, it's one that I think so often we tend to just outsource this to other people. However, there's a great deal of satisfaction in being able to do these tasks yourself. I can't even count the sheer number of times I've been called aside by various friends to come and help them put up paintings, sort things out, rewire up electronic appliances, or do various bits of plumbing, and some basic skills in the realm of DIY go a very, very long way. So today in particular, we're going to be looking at drills. What are the benefits of various different types of drills, and then we'll take it from there. I'll probably look at getting some shots from a second camera, some B-reel, just because this is something you're going to want to see. Definitely don't just want to watch me talking, because that kind of defeats the object of a lot of it. So in terms of drill bits, you're kind of going to go from something as small as this, which is a 3mm. So everything with the drill bits in South Africa specifically is in millimeters, up to the big boy like this, which is a 20. So obviously everything has various different types of purposes. You'll get drill bits specifically for wood, steel, masonry. Some of them have a diamond coating just to allow that extra bit of power and oomph. For you personally, in your home, something like this, a cordless drill, is absolutely fantastic. It allows you to fulfill basic functions, drilling into masonry so long as it's not heavy concrete, into wood allows you to have or add various different bits such as this, which basically turns it into an electric screwdriver, which is a lifesaver. I can't tell you the times when I've been stuck without one of these and had to go and disassemble a piece of furniture by hand. That probably had about 150 screws in, and doing that by hand was probably the most tedious thing I've ever done in my life. By contrast, having one of these basically allows you to remove each screw within about 5 seconds. Just plugging it into reverse and letting it rip, which is fantastic. So on the drill itself, well, any of these drills basically have various settings. So at the top, you'll have the option of a screw, a basic drill, which is usually for woodworking, and then a masonry drill bit. Each of these basically adds something else. So if I'm looking at the screw setting, this generally has slightly lower power. It'll also automatically stop in order to prevent you from eliminating the back of the screw, because that obviously no one wants to have a threaded screw. It just makes life complicated trying to get that one out. So that's that. Wood basically just prevents that from happening. And going on to masonry, what you'll do is it adds a hammer aspect. So suddenly it'll go as well as the general turning. So that's that one. On the top of a lot of these, you'll have multiple settings as well. So a 1 is basically more powerful, or there's more torque, which will prevent any slippage. Number 2 is basically replaces torque with speed. So suddenly we're moving up to, let's go ramp up the power. So for most people, this would be perfect. It fulfills all your functions. It has a battery that can be disassembled and utilized on other power tools. Not that you can have a whole set of power tools, but it is very convenient. It is worth noting that the purchase of a lot of these will not come with a battery. You obviously just need to be careful, depending on where you're buying it from. They generally assume that if you're a man or woman who enjoys power tools, you're going to have multiple batteries. So just have the batteries as being interchangeable between all of the products. Obviously that only really works if you're shopping from the same brand. So in this case, I'm a bit of a supporter of Bosch. They've been fantastic, haven't had any problems as of yet. And then we'll look at, with that, looking at a potential toolkit, something like this, which allows for all of your drill bits as well as screwdrivers, not screwdrivers, but screw bits to be kept in one place, which is fantastic. Really, really convenient to be able to take this around. Really means you can just pop it all in your car, you don't have to worry about things getting messy, and that's that. So in terms of a base drill for most people, that's what I'd recommend. If you are having to deal with concrete and heavier duty walls, if you're in the States, chances are you're good. If you're in South Africa or somewhere else where wood isn't really used for building, you're probably going to have some concrete in places. When you're looking at that there, something like this has a whole lot more power. This will basically do the same job in a quarter of the time and doesn't put any extra strain on your drill bits. When you're using any of these, you do need to watch out for the fact that the drill bit may get a little bit hot. If you're going and being persistent in one space, understand that you're building up a lot of friction on these. So obviously this spinning rapidly against concrete does tend to generate a hell of a lot of heat. There have been various occasions where I have forgotten this and subsequently got myself into a lot of trouble, placing it down on my wrist and searing a nice scar and just getting that amazing smell of searing flesh, which just really makes you excited to continue doing whatever project you're engaged in. So definitely just be cautious, but other than that, you should be all good. So why would you go with something like this instead of a standard drill? The answer really is that it allows for a lot more power. So if you're looking at any of these, they have a, what is this called? This is called a slotted drive system, which prevents any slippage. It basically holds it in place. For most drill bits, it has the added benefit of gearing down. So if you look at any gear, if you had a large gear spinning on a smaller one, the smaller one would spin a lot faster. If you had the inverse, you'd have a lot more power. So this basically sacrifices some speed for power, but again, then you have a much larger motor, in which case you make up that bulk anyway. So this does a hell of a lot. If you're looking at the gearing, I'll look at a smaller drill bit. So if you looked at something like this, you'll see it has a much larger base and a much thinner front piece or drill. This really allows you to get that power and get through, or basically melt the wall as though it's butter, which is a fantastic feeling. Obviously, when you are drilling, it is important to kind of make sure you are at a 90-degree angle or perpendicular to the wall, just to make sure you get that nice clean finish. If you are going at angles, it does can be used in certain circumstances, but for the most part, you're going to run into a few issues. So generally going to avoid that one. I'll try and do a bit of a demonstration somewhere. I don't really have anything that needs to go up currently, so that's a little bit of a downside, but I'll see what we can do. So that's that. For most people, again, definitely going to recommend something like this. And if I'm getting it back to it, why do you need to learn to drill? It's a very good question. It's very easy to go and employ someone these days to do that same thing. However, I do say a big however, in most cases, it leads to projects sitting around and never being done. When you always look at having to bring someone in order to accomplish those tasks, quite often they just sit there. If I look at my sister, for example, her and her husband are prime candidates for this, or they definitely fall into this category quite regularly. So for them, they'll have multiple paintings just waiting to be hung up. They do have the added benefit of having me pop around every now and then to assist with this, but sometimes there goes a stretch of several months where I don't go visit them. During this time, these projects do just build up, and in some cases have got to a point where they don't see the paintings sitting on the floor anymore just because they've been there for so long. So again, we turned a bit of a blind eye to this. It's always useful to be able to understand how things work, to understand that you can fix the problem, and it's also amazingly rewarding. I look at my time at university. I would regularly be going downstairs, assisting my neighbors, sorting out bits and pieces, or just lending them my toolkit. It's one that is exceptionally valuable pretty much all the time, which having it just allows for those options. It's something that is largely inexpensive if you look at it, and amazingly useful. This, coupled with a little toolbox filled with your basic tools, solves the majority of problems. Obviously, I wouldn't necessarily get into complex electrics or plumbing or anything of the sort. With a lot of those, obviously depending where you are, certifications and things are required for any work that's done, in which case you being a hands-on DIY or electrician or plumber is going to lead to a few problems. But for the most part, we can do most things, and it is exceptionally rewarding. So I would implore you to give it a go. It's really not that hard. If you do need assistance with any of that, let me know. Let's see if we can make another video. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. So I do thank you for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic one. Cheers.